bad thing. You should be able to. Yeah, I'm the Lyft driver. What'd you do to that young girl? You knocked on the wrong door tonight. So I get a 5-star rating, Junior.
Equalizer 2. July 20th.
We're being perfectly honest, I would have just given him the $16 because he was Denzel Washington. That's how much I respect this guy so much as an actor. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We are looking at 2 weekends to wrap up July 20th and July 27th. We have 6 movies to look at. A lot of exciting movies all across the board. 2 big action sequels, 1 less than spectacular sequel, and a couple of surprises as well. So, you're in for a treat this time around. So let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, which is, of course, The Equalizer 2. The weekend of July 20th, I should say. Not the weekend in general, because we're looking at 2 weekends. But this is, of course, the sequel to The Equalizer, directed by Antoine Fuqua and starring Denzel Washington, which was released in 2014. And, actually, I'm trying to remember. Did the Equalizer TV series come out around this time with Queen Latifah? I think it did. It did not, 2021, so I'm way off of that, but I have talked about the Equalizer 3 on Talking About the Movies when that came out in 2023, but I really love these movies, but this one easily is my favorite one of the series. Denzel Washington is back as Robert McCall, serving an unflinching justice for the exploited and oppressed. But how far will he go when that is someone he loves? As you see in that little trailer there, Melissa Leo's character from the first movie gets killed off, and that's when Denzel Washington goes out and does what Denzel does so well in these movies. And it's hard to believe that after so many decades in Hollywood, this was the first sequel Denzel Washington ever made. But then again, many of the movies Washington has been in don't usually leave themselves open for sequels, and even then, he comes into sequels to other films as well. He just recently came into Gladiator 2, he's going to be in Black Panther 3, so he's kind of taken the Jim Carrey approach for where he doesn't do a lot of sequels, but he'll do sequels if he can find something of value to them. And he was one of the best things about Gladiator 2. The rest of that movie was just fucking garbage, but The Equalizer does have a way to open itself up for a sequel, and that's a good thing, because not only did I enjoy this movie more than the first one, I would go as far as to say it's better than the first one. I really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I had a great time watching it. They do a really good job of doing what you should do with an action sequel, upping the ante of the story, and especially on the action. The casting, once again, is great. You get Denzel Washington, once again, in another solid performance. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Denzel Washington is the greatest actor we have working right now, and that still is something I will say to this very day. Got Melissa Leo, who usually will turn in a great performance in here, and she does again here too. Bill Pullman has a good role in here, although he's not in the film a whole lot that you would expect him to be. The newcomers to the series are nicely done. You see Ashton Sanders, who was recently in Moonlight as Miles, who was pretty good here. Pedro Pascal as Dave was really good, although his role is kind of similar to Kurt Russell in Guardians 2, where once it's known that he's the main antagonist of the film, the role really isn't as strong as it should be in the first half. I mean, I was surprised how good Orson Bean was playing the old guy Denzel's character drives around and hangs out with. He was really good in the film, too. Like I said, I thought they did a pretty good job of upping the ante story-wise, where they make it a much bigger threat than a lot of people in Robert McCall's life they're slowly but surely either being taken away or being turned against him, which leads to a lot of great little twists and turns for the audience to keep themselves invested in. I even like the little tweaks that gave Washington's character, like he's able to predict everything that's going to happen before it happens. There's a great scene where he's trying to look at a crime scene, and he's imagining himself sitting in the exact same spot as the victims are trying to figure out the specifics of where the gunshot and the blood spurted out of the 2 people are coming from. And I thought that was kind of interesting overall. It's like they threw in a little bit of like Sherlock Holmes-esque sleuthing here with this type of a film. I also liked how it foreshadowed the big climax at the end throughout the film as well. Like the big climax takes place during a hurricane, and throughout the film you can hear like a storm forming, like the thunder continuously gets louder and more vigorous as the movie progresses, as if the movie is telling you that some shit's about to go down big time at the end. I like those little touches. I mean, a movie like Hell Caesar did a good job at those little touches in particular. Like, you gotta listen very closely to hear little things. Like in Hell Caesar, the big thing was like every time they say a name, you hear like a you ever watch The Simpsons, and when they go to the nuclear power plant, you hear like a crow in the background going like ah ah. It's kind of like that, but in Hail Caesar, it's like when they've mentioned one specific person, it's always followed by that, a crow in the background going like eh eh. Maybe not like that, but you get the idea. Like, it's great because it's not like it's doing this to you on purpose without giving you the final product. It tells you at the end, no, this is what's going to happen, and this climax You thought the first climax in the first movie at the hardware store was badass? This one takes the cake and ups the ante big time. There's just something fun about the whole concept of shooting an action climax in the middle of a hurricane. And I couldn't help but think back to one of my favorite action climaxes of all time, Patriot Games, which is oddly enough produced by the same guy who produced this movie, Mason Newfield. And that climax, too, is where it takes place on the water during a tropical storm. And it's a nice little homage to add to this movie. And again, oddly in the second film of that series, too, because Patriot Games was the second in the Jack Ryan movies, and this is, of course, the second in the Equalizer films. Now, granted, there are a few plot holes here and there. Like, the biggest one is with Pedro Pascal's character, and it's just before the big climax. You know, Washington figures out that him and the rest of his team have become freelance assassins, and Susan had become a target, Melissa Leo's character, because she would have suspected that the events in Brussels was from one of her own former colleagues, and eventually traced it back to Pedro Pascal's character. And then McCall meets with the three remaining teammates, Resnick, Ari, and Kovac, who threaten McCall, and they will go after him, as McCall heeds a stern warning that he'll be coming for them. And York's family is taken away by McCall to assumingly a safe place, and we never see or hear from them ever again. Like it's just kind of like the fact that all five of them are meeting in one spot, and nobody ever bothers to follow McCall or figure out where he's actually going afterwards. The scene where all five meet up in front of York's house just comes to a stop, and then we're just on to another scene. Like, it makes no sense, and there's definitely times when the movie doesn't fully give us an understanding of what's going on, and leaves those plot holes throughout the film, that when you go back and realize some of the faults of the film, you just realize that there are pieces that don't fully connect and are left unanswered when the movie is all said and done. Also, as badass as some of the action scenes are, there is some ridiculously stupid Home Alone-style traps in this. Like, there's one part where McCall goes into a bakery to lure one of the assassins, and I swear to God, he pulls a Home Alone-esque style trap where he cuts open bags of sugar, turns the fans on, and then the assassin is killed after the grenade he tossed into the building explodes. Since when does sugar become flammable like that? Granted, yeah, I know he's using a grenade. Like, maybe if he had turned the stove or oven on at the same time to let the gas out, maybe, but there was never that scene shown in particular. There's even one part where I don't get, where Pedro Pascal's character shoots at his car where he has Miles tied up in the trunk, and he tells McCall that one more shot and I'll kill him, and McCall just shoots one of the tires out so that it only grazes Miles' leg. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm pretty sure that's not how physics work. I'm pretty sure that shooting out one tire is not going to change the trajectory of a bullet like this movie thinks it is. Like, it gets stupid, but thankfully never as stupid as Skyscraper did. It's not too ridiculously stupid where you lose interest in the movie quickly. This thing has flaws to it, but nevertheless, I still thought that this was a much better movie than the first film was. Slightly more enjoyable than the first film was. You got Denzel Washington doing what Denzel Washington does so well. The story, the action are big. It's bigger than the last time and better than the last time. It's definitely got more noticeable plot holes this time around, but the movie delivers on what it promises and then some. What you loved about the first movie and then some. I love it, man. I still enjoy it a lot. The Equalizer 2 is one that I highly recommend checking out. In fact, check out all the Equalizer movies. They're really, really good. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the other big sequel release this weekend. One that, the first movie is notable because it is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. So, 10 years later, we have the sequel to that, and that is Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Sky, I'm pregnant. In the exact same place the mom was all those years ago. I never did ask you guys. What happened back then?
I don't know what my future holds, but I've got a very good feeling.
We can't tell anybody about the baby, okay?
I just told Bill.
Yeah, and I told Harry. I told many, many people.
Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, in cinemas July 20th.
Honestly, I can't even call this a Here We Go Again sequel, since the title of the movie is literally called Here We Go Again. But, yeah, as I mentioned before, I am not too keen on the first Mamma Mia movie, mostly because I thought it was just nothing more than just a movie where you just had all these celebrities singing some really bad versions of classic ABBA songs, and there really wasn't a story. The main plot, the crux of the movie is nothing but watching women screaming at the top of their lungs, and people just acting stupid for the sake of acting stupid. There was no real story going on in that movie. I hate that, and I hated the ending of that movie where they basically, the whole thing was supposed to be about this chick getting married, and then by the end of it, Amanda Seyfried's just like, let's not get married overall. So we just wasted our time, and oh no, we don't, because guess what? We're gonna have one of the possible fathers of Amanda Seyfried's character propose to Meryl Streep's character. So we could still have a winning here. Just kind of like, it was a stupid movie. It was a poorly put together film. So naturally, when this was coming out, I steered clear away from that death trap, because I thought there's no way they were going to make this movie work in the end. But not surprisingly, I was taken aback by all the positive reviews for this, and even from people who hated the first movie, they came out of it going like, "Wow, this one actually isn't all that bad." And even then, I stayed away from it, because it's just like, I don't want to get my hopes up here, because I thought maybe that, what if these people are wrong? What if they're just saying it because they were paid off by Universal? After all, Rotten Tomatoes is co-owned by Universal. It's co-owned by some studio. I think it's Universal. Let me see. Who owns Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah, 75% is owned by Universal. The other 25% is owned by Warner Brothers. So yeah, Universal could have easily paid off people to give this movie positive reviews overall. So I stayed away from it for a while. I hadn't seen it until yesterday when I knew I was going to do this. It's just like, okay, I pray to the heavenly gods, that type of stuff there. It's just kind of like, heaven help me on this one here. So both a prequel and a sequel to Mamma Mia. The plot is set after the events of the previous film and is intersected with flashbacks to Donna's youth. Donna's the Meryl Streep character, where we meet the younger version of her, played by Lily James from Cinderella, with some scenes from the two time periods mirroring each other. So you have a young Meryl Streep character played by Lily James. You have characters played by Jeremy Irvine, Hugh Skinner, and also who else? Josh Dillon, who played the younger versions of the three fathers from the first movie. You also have Sharon here playing the mother of Meryl Streep's character. And yeah, I went into it not expecting a whole lot, but I'm not gonna lie to you, this was actually really good. Like, this was the movie I wanted the first one to be like, because not only was it a movie where they had everybody singing ABBA songs, but there was a story going on. There was at least a purpose. There was a reason to do another one, because they're expanding on the storyline here. They're doing more that they didn't do in the first movie. The first movie was nothing about, let's just go ahead and appeal to the Sex and the City audience that went to the Sex and the City movie recently. Let's not even bother giving them an actual story or giving them real consequences and all that. This one completely does the complete opposite of that, and it works because of it. You have a great cast back. You have everybody back in this one who does their parts very well. But in addition, you also have new faces in here, such as I mentioned, Lily James, Andy Garcia, Cher. Who else is in here that's new? I think there's someone else in here that's new. I think Dominic Cooper, who was he in the first movie? I thought it was because I'm pretty sure he was a completely different person in the first film. That was Dominic Cooper in the first movie. Howard Stark, Dominic Cooper, was the boyfriend in the first movie. I did not know that. Like, I thought it was a completely different actor, because I thought he was a completely different race altogether, but that should just tell you how I haven't seen the original Mamma Mia since I first saw it, because it's just like, I don't want to waste my time watching this garbage again, but, hey, you're learning some new things every day here, and certainly I learned a lot about this movie in particular, and the fact that I did enjoy it a lot more than I thought I could possibly imagine, and most importantly, everyone is singing actually well. Like, this isn't like the bad singing from the first movie. No, they fixed that up big time here. Everyone sung very well. I guess once Meryl Streep did Into the Woods, everyone was just kind of like, oh yeah, we can do a movie where Meryl Streep can actually sing, instead of having her with some terrible terrible singing overall from the first film, because that was definitely there. But really, this is another showcase for Lily James, who I've loved this woman ever since I saw her first in Cinderella. I mean, she's one of my favorite underrated actresses. She's been in a lot of great stuff overall. She was great as Pam Anderson in Pam and Tommy, which was a great miniseries on Hulu. She was also in The Iron Claw. She was in Yesterday. I mean, this is a really good actress, man, and I'm just glad to see that she's got another really good movie on her hands. The movie overall really was one of those big surprises that I did not see coming at all. I was not expecting this to be as enjoyable as it actually was, and I think really it's because they actually have a capable filmmaker here to make this work, Ol Parker. Now, Ol Parker is a guy that he's made a couple of movies that I didn't think was going to be that great overall. Some films that started off promisingly but didn't end up going that way. The big one in particular was Imagine Me and You with Piper Perabo in it, which had some good moments in it, but I think got overshadowed because it was coming out around the same time as Brokeback Mountain. But then after this, he did Ticket to Paradise, which, again, looked like a terrible movie where George Clooney and Julia Roberts were playing this couple who looked like they were just, they're too old to experience the young world that their daughter, Emma Roberts, is taking part in. And it's going to be like this terrible movie. And yet it really wasn't. It was actually a nice comfort food, simplistic comedy that worked very well. Even what he did recently with Office Romance with Brett Goldstein and Jennifer Lopez, a movie that literally has a scene similar to what the worst thing Jennifer Lopez ever starred in, The Backup Plan, where it's this terrible pregnancy scene. They do something like that in Office Romance, and it somehow works. Like, it actually works better than what they were trying to do in The Backup Plan, because it wasn't just a bad, gross-out joke. They actually made something funny out of it. This director, Ol Parker, really is a lot better than I think anyone could have possibly imagined. But then again, this is also a guy that has written a lot of good stuff. He wrote The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, as well as The Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, which are fun movies overall. Plus, he gets to sleep with actually, no, that's not true, because I was going to say he gets to sleep with Tandy Newton every night, but they divorced in 2022, so never mind that. Forget I said anything, But don't forget me saying that Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again is actually a really good movie, man. I actually was very surprised at how much I enjoyed this, especially considering that it's a sequel to one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and yet somebody, somehow, someway, found a way to make it enjoyable, make it entertaining, and lo and behold, that's what we have here. I really enjoyed this movie. I was pleasantly surprised by it. Again, why wasn't this the first movie? Why couldn't this be the first film again? Why couldn't this be the first film? I mean, the first film was so terrible, and yet it took them 10 years to finally make a good movie out of it. So, hey, they did it, and I will give them their round of applause for that, because they did what they couldn't do with the first film. They upgraded it, they fixed it up, and made a surprisingly enjoyable film out of it. So, yeah, give them credit where credit is due. So we've had a couple of really good sequels this weekend, which of course means we got to take a look at a bad one. So let's go ahead and take a look at Unfriended, Dark Web.
Laptop. Actually new. This computer was sitting in the lost and found, and it automatically connects you to this thing.
Dude, this is dark web.
Check this out.
Oh my god, I think that's real.
Who's that? What the hell? They've all been watching. He killed Lex. They've had control this whole time.
Still there?
Unfriended, dark web, radar.
Which is probably the movie that everyone thought the first Unfriended was going to be. The first Unfriended actually was one of those big surprises where you didn't see it coming, and it was a movie that did a lot of creative things with the idea of shooting this all on a computer screen. And so here you have this movie here, which is basically, hey, let's do that again, except with lesser characters, and let's go down with a more cheaper route with it overall in terms of the scares and all that. Because yeah, that's exactly what this movie is. This is literally the Here We Go Again sequel of the week easily, where it's a separate story from the original film, as none of the previous film's events or characters are mentioned, and follows a group of friends who find a laptop that has access to the dark web, only to realize that they are being watched by the original owners, a group of cyber criminal hackers. So already you have lost the point of this movie by having this happen, where the first movie worked because it was also a satire. It was also, like, not really a satire, but it was also using its story to deal with the trials and tribulations of how social media was hurting people in real life because, a teenage girl committed suicide because an embarrassing video of hers went online. Here, it's just assholes being assholes, man. I mean, this is literally a movie where hackers are literally causing this whole thing to happen. So right then and there, you've already lost the scare factor, the terrifying factor in this. This is a lame movie, man. This is about as bad as you can expect it to be from a sequel like this. And, it didn't make as much money as the first film, but considering how much it had a $1 million budget, made its money back instantly, even though it was nowhere near the hit that the original film was. And just when you thought the Blumhouse tilt was finally getting its shit together with Upgrade a couple weeks ago, here they are back with another sequel that is nowhere near as good as the original film, and just feels like quick cash grab money, baby. So there you go. That's Unfriended Dark Web. So let's go ahead and move on to one of the only new release this weekend that does not have a franchise attached to it. Let's take a look at Blindspotting.
It's all about how you can look at something, and there can be another thing there you aren't seeing.
You are a convicted felon.
Nobody is misreading you, darling. Yeah, I know. Stop! You don't feel it like we do. To feel it, it has to be you. Stop pointing that at me. Not loaded, bro. Those are for show loaded. Okay.
Blindspotting.
I know what you're thinking. The first time that you see the first critical reaction, and it's from Sean Edwards of Fox TV, usually that's the death knell. It's just kind of like, well, this movie is going to be terrible. But no, it was actually a movie where Sean Edwards puts his name on a good movie, which is rare. It's very rare indeed. But yeah, this film was not only one of the most highly praised movies of the year, went on to be nominated for a couple of critical awards. I don't think it got nominated for any Oscars the more I think about it, because it's one of those movies where, you know, well, it's out in the summertime, and, you know, the Oscars in general, don't forget, this was back when the Oscars thought there were only 4 months of the year, September to December, and didn't even bother to nominate anything past that, is before then, but, no, this film actually is pretty good. It's directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada, which I didn't realize he also co-directed Ryan the Last Dragon at Disney. Like, I completely forgot that he directed that movie, and I really like that film a lot, but, in this movie, you have a parolee played by David Diggs, who, with 3 days left on his sentence, only to have witnessed a police shooting that threatens to ruin a lifelong friendship. You also have characters played by Rafael Casal, both of them wrote the script for this, Geneva Gavanikar from The League, Jasmine Cephas-Jones, Ethan Embry, Tisha Campbell-Martin, Utkarsh Budkar, Wayne Knight. A great cast overall in this movie, and it's a really good film, man. It's a really intriguing film, a slice-of-life storyline. We have you're following these two characters all around here, and you really are watching how they're going to find themselves trying to get out of the situation that they find themselves in here. And it's a very engaging movie, and it really does keep you invested. The chemistry between Casal and Diggs is very good when you see them going on this adventure together. It's a really good, solid film overall, and it was so successful that they actually made a TV series that was on Starz, I think, for a couple seasons, which actually wasn't that bad. It was actually one of their few Starz shows that I actually did kind of enjoy. But it's a really good movie. It's a film that definitely is a film that is so... It works because of not only the good buddy comedy aspects, but also the fact that it can be seen as a social commentary, especially with the way the world has gone in the last 10 years or so. And it definitely works because of the star power that they have involved in it. David Diggs, you know, everyone knows him from Hamilton, and this is another movie. This is a movie where he really gets to show his acting range in general here, and he plays it very well. It's a great movie, man. It's one that I really do recommend checking out. It's a really solid film. Yeah, not much more to say about it, except definitely check it out. Blindspotting is definitely worth a watch. So those are the big movies for July 20th. Let's go ahead and move on to July 27th. We'll wrap the month off here. Starting off with what I personally think is the last great Mission Impossible movie, and that is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Should you choose to accept it?
What the hell is he doing?
You find it best not to look.
Gotta love how the plot synopsis Paramount puts out for this before the movie comes out is Ethan Hunt and his IMF team, along with some familiar allies, race against time against a mission after a mission goes wrong. Isn't that the plot of every Mission Impossible movie, really? I mean, it's the same thing every time. You know, something gets corrupted, or somebody finds out the information of all these agents, and, you know, a mission goes wrong and all that type of stuff, but that's the charm of these movies, man. They can put the most pathetic plot synopsis online, but you know you're going to see these movies because of how badass Tom Cruise is in these movies. And the Mission Impossible movies have certainly come back in the last few years. That, you know, Mission Impossible 2 crashed and burned, and then all of a sudden, after that, every film got better and better. And I think Fallout really was the peak of this franchise, and it really was the best sequel I saw since The Dark Knight and Catching Fire. This did everything right that a great sequel should do. It ups the ante on the story and its action. It gives us more of what we love, and you come out of the movie feeling extremely satisfied with the overall finished product. And once again, the cast is great. Tom Cruise is great to watch as Ethan Hunt. You got Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, and Alec Baldwin. Great to see them back in here. Rebecca Ferguson is back again after being in a couple of really bad movies in between the Mission Impossible films. Sean Harris as the main antagonist is really good, man. I thought the new additions overall were great. Angela Bassett has a great role in here. You got Henry Cavill in a surprisingly really good role that finally gives him something to do after kind of just playing a plank of wood in every movie he's been in since he was in The Man of Steel. But Vanessa Kirby's really good in here. They found a really good way to bring back Michelle Monaghan's character into the fold here with a much more prominent role here, especially towards the end of the movie. Yeah, the movie overall was really good. This may have some of the best action sequences in the series. They always manage to find a way to up the levels of over-the-top action and a lot of spectacularly handled action sequences in this, and Tom Cruise really does put a lot into these movies. The stunt work is incredible, and the more I think about it, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning did have some great stuff in that, as well as the Final Reckoning overall. I mean, the movies themselves weren't that great, but the action sequences in those films were amazing too. I mean, my favorite one in those films is the train scene at the end of the movie, as well as Tom Cruise, with a bike jumping off the motorcycle and then parasailing down to the train. Like, that's still great stuff there. And it's great to have the same director from the last movie, Christopher McQuarrie, coming in here and proving. And they've proven that they work well together. These two are very solid together, and they proved that with Top Gun Maverick as well. They did a good job of continuing the story from the last film, and whether McQuarrie and Cruise come together on these movies, the results have usually been really good. Edge of Tomorrow, Rogue Nation, Jack Reacher 2, and now this. They have been on a roll, and they're the duo that works well together, honestly. And they do a good job of paying homage to the previous movies. They take stuff from Mission Impossible 2 and actually make it kind of badass, from the Wolf Blitzer cameo in the beginning to Tom Cruise hanging off the ledge of a cliff in the climax overall. Now, if there are some flaws to this, there are definitely times in the film where they could have cut the slower parts out of it. It does go a little too long at nearly 2.5 hours, but overall, nothing about the movie is absolutely awful or distraction overall. Just little bits and pieces here and there that could have easily been cut out. Also, some of the twists and turns are kind of easy to predict. Like, once Cavill comes on screen, he's going to be the double crosser in the situation here. But for the most part, they do keep the twists and turns effective for the most part. But I still really enjoyed the hell out of this movie. It really took over the mantle from the Jason Bourne movies to being this consistently fun, action-packed summer movie extravaganza. The last two movies prove that this franchise still has a lot of what it takes overall. These are better James Bond movies than the actual last James Bond movie that came out, which was Spectre. The action is great, the cast is great, the story is well done, a fantastic film. Mission Impossible Fallout is amazing. Since this is the last one that we'll cover on this particular show, I might as well quickly sum up my thoughts on the other two Mission Impossible movies, Dead Reckoning and The Final Reckoning, which I like them, but they are definitely the most flawed movies in the series, mostly because of the same problems that you got with The Hunger Games and Harry Potter. Splitting the last film up into 2 long movies, that is a lot to ask for, and they really don't do a whole lot of excitement by splitting it up into 2 parts. Like, there's definitely things I like about both movies, but just the fact that they're split up into 2 parts really does hurt the ebb and flow of these films, of those last 2 films in particular, and takes what should be a grand epic finale overall, and just kind of dampens the blow a lot. I was really disappointed by the last 2 films in particular, especially considering how great this series was coming to once Fallout came out. I really expected the last 2 films to be really great, and it just didn't deliver. It just kind of fell into the same traps of other movies, franchises that decided to give us 2-part finales, and just, they kind of fell apart in doing that in particular. Had Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, and The Dead Reckoning had just been one solid movie, they took out some of the parts that were really slow, I really do feel like you could have had a really great movie there to wrap this series up, but as it is, like I said, the last 2 films aren't terrible, but they're just not as good as they could have been if it had just been condensed down to one movie. Mission Impossible Fallout to me is still the last great thing to come out of the Mission Impossible franchise overall. It's one of the best action films I've ever seen, one of the best movies of the year, one of the best sequels of recent memory. It's a great film. I can't take that away from that one. So let's go ahead and move on to our last film here, and I'll say this. In a summer where you've had Uncle Drew and Mamma Mia being some of the biggest surprises of the year, another movie that I was not expecting to be the movie that I would enjoy a lot more than I ever thought I could was Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
They're finally going to make a movie about me!
The story of Batman's greatest ally.
That's me! That must be me!
And best friend in the whole world.
Finally!
Alfred, the movie.
It's time to clean up this city.
That
actually does look pretty good.
Just a young gun with the quick fuse. They're really making movies about every superhero.
Has there been a movie about you?
There was a Green Lantern movie, but we don't talk about that.
It's time they make one about me.
I'm afraid it's no. I only make movies about real superheroes.
Why don't they take us seriously?
Titans, you guys are never actually doing anything heroic.
What about that time we discovered that sweet diner and they had that food?
That wasn't even a crime, and you didn't save anything.
We saved room for
Having a movie is the only way to be seen as a real hero.
What about an arch nemesis?
Stop right there. Deadpool?
Deadpool? What? Why does everybody think I'm Deadpool?
I thought Deadpool was a good guy.
By the way, he should be saying that he's not me. Okay, because I came out, like, way before he did.
Nah, I'm pretty sure you're Deadpool.
I am straight.
If we can make him our arch nemesis, then they will see that we're worthy of a movie.
I'm not interested in fighting a bunch of sidekicks and a half a robot. Oh, man, I'm never letting you fly my body again. The whole world will be under my control. Destroy them.
How big is your army? 100,000.
Halt for the mighty Abby.
Watch me! Watch me! Watch me! Do this! It's always been more than a music. You riding weights on the back of my cruise ship. Look, watch me! Watch me! Watch me! We're taking you down!
How are you gonna do it? What are you gonna do? You gonna fart on me? You wanna have a dance off? You gonna annoy me to death with your waffles?
There's a lot of the charm and also the stuff that I don't like about the show in this particular movie. Like, I also love the fact that either somebody behind the scenes of this movie saw what Warner Brothers was going to do, because they literally made everything that they showed you in the not just that trailer, but the movie. There has been an Alfred TV series that was on Epix. They did of course, the League of Super Pets movie. They did a show about the Batmobile called Bat Wheels. I mean, they know is either somebody working on this movie got a sneak preview of the plans that Warner Brothers was having for the DC franchise, or they have that Simpsons predictability overall, where they can just predict everything that's going to happen. But this is Teen Titans Go to the Movies, a movie I was not expecting to have any quality whatsoever, because I was never a fan of the TV series. I thought the TV series overall was not that great. In fact, I still hate that show. It's not funny, it's not well animated, the stories are poorly written, the jokes are nothing but memes and obnoxious kiddie humor. It's a bad show, and I don't like it. It's one of the worst things I think DC has ever made in the television department, and that's saying a lot. So, going into this movie, I was going into this really ready to hate this garbage, and needless to say, it was not garbage at all. It was actually surprisingly enjoyable. So it seems like the Titans have traveled to Hollywood to see all the major superheroes out there starring in their own movies. Everybody except themselves. But de facto leader Robin is determined to remedy the situation by being a star instead of a sidekick if they can only get the hottest Hollywood film director, voiced by Kristen Bell, to notice them. While a few madcap ideas and a song in their heart, the Teen Titans head to Tinseltown certain to pull off their dream. But when the group is radically misdirected by a serious supervillain named Deathstroke, or Slade, played by Will Arnett, which is funny because I think Will Arnett and Kristen Bell were still together at this point. That's wrong, because Will Arnett and Amy Poehler were together. So, again, take that out completely, and let's just get back to the plot here. A serious supervillain and his maniacal plan to take over the Earth, things really go awry. The team finds their friendship and their fighting spirit falling, putting the very fate of the Teen Titans themselves on the line. And like I said, I was never a fan of Teen Titans Go, and I was not looking forward to this overall. And, you know, the trailers got me kind of hooked. That last trailer I showed you made me go ahead and realize, you know, this could actually be pretty good. But again, it's Teen Titans Go. How could anything from this TV show lead to anything that great in movie form? And then the movie finally came out, and I just had to come out and say, you won, Teen Titans Go, you won. You actually made something that I didn't hate. Even more than that, you made a surprisingly good movie, because imagine, of all things, Teen Titans Go, of all things, actually having something of quality saved for the big screen. I actually enjoyed this movie a lot. It was no classic by any means necessary, but it's way better than I think it had any right to be. It does have its flaws. It definitely has those things that make it feel like the show, that the obnoxious kiddie humor from the series does creep its way into the movie, but to its credit, it does keep it most in check, and it's not lingering on bad jokes or being overly obnoxious as much as it is on the show. Like, I do like those little one-sided gags there where, like, you know, the big thing at the end of the trailer with Will Arnett's character, he's just kind of like, oh, what are you going to do? What is part on me? Have a dance-off? Threaten me with your waffles? Because waffles was, like, one of the big running gags of the show in particular, and they actually found something funny out of it. This thing does have a stacked voice cast, too, and, you know, a lot of voice actors are just there to just be names for people to recognize. I mean, hey, if there's anything, you get to see Nicolas Cage as Superman because he plays Superman in this. Like, I feel like you could have easily had some jokes about the ill-fated Tim Burton Superman movie with this, and they never did it. But they did have Green Lantern in there, who is, I think, I can't remember who it was. I think it was, I want to say it was T.I., but knowing what we've been doing so far today, I've been more wrong than right on these, so let me just make sure I check to see. Not T.I. Not T.I. at all, but it's Lil Yachty, so. Yeah, the fact that they said, you know, there was a Green Lantern movie, and then it's just like, we don't talk about that. But then you got a lot of other names in here that really don't really do anything, like Halsey as Wonder Woman. She has maybe like 2 or 3 lines in the film. Jimmy Kimmel shows up as Batman. He only has like 1 or 2 lines. Patton Oswalt's the Atom. He has 1 line. And Will Wheaton is the Flash, even though he barely says a word in this. It's like they got all these big-name people involved in here, and you don't really give them a whole lot to do. It feels like Smurfs casting, really, where, you know, we'll cast all these big actors in here who really are just going to have 1 line in particular, and then we're not going to have them do anything about it, anything afterwards. But probably the biggest overall flaw of the film is the animation. At a $10 million budget, I mean, yeah, it's a $10 million budget, and that's cheap for an animated film like this, but the animation literally looks like the TV show blown up. It's like Hey Arnold the movie levels of laziness. I mean, there are times when the animation does get an upgrade, including a hilarious Disney-esque animation dream sequence involving Robin, but on the whole, there's nothing about the animation overall that makes this look higher quality than the show is. Those are some of the flaws of the film, but everything else, though, is great. Like, the voice cast, that's the one thing I'll give the show credit for. They have a solid voice cast of Scott Menville, Greg Sipes, Corey Payton, Hynden Walsh, and Tara Strong, who work off each other so well. But again, that's part of the chemistry that they have from the original Teen Titans TV show. Will Arnett was great as Slade Wilson. He had a lot of legitimately good laughs in the movie, and he desperately needed this, man, because, you know, after Show Dogs earlier in the year, he needed a good movie, man. But, hey, he's got a producing credit, too, here. He literally co-produced this movie, too, so, yeah, it makes sense he should have some of the funnier lines in the movie, which leads into my favorite thing about the movie. The jokes are actually really hilarious, and pretty harsh, too, because not only do they poke fun at Marvel, but everyone is getting harsh jabs on this, even DC and the Titans themselves. Like, you know, they take jabs at Warner Brothers themselves, even right down to having Stan Lee doing a cameo of himself and having poke fun at that. I think this was actually one of the last ones he did before he died, because I think he might have died before or after this movie came out, because he had one more cameo in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse later in the year, but the dark humor, though, was something I was not expecting, but I enjoyed every moment of that. Like, there's a great bit where the Titans basically go back to revert all the superhero origin storylines so the Titans can be the only superheroes left in the world with their own movie, but the problem is, you know, and there's a part where they go back to Batman's origin, which Crime Alley, and tell Bruce Wayne's parents not to go down Crime Alley, and even literally tell them, you know, it's called Crime Alley, you idiots, and then they just go, and then they complete their mission, but when they go back to the present, the world is in complete chaos because there's no villains, and there's no heroes, and the villains have taken over. So they got to go back in time, put all the origin stories back together again, including Batman's, which, what they do, I cannot believe they got away with this. They put the pearl necklace on Bruce's mom, and then just pushes the parents into Crime Alley for the parents to get shot. And I was just like, wow, that is dark, but also it's friggin' hilarious. Like, if there's one thing I can honestly say about Teen Titans Go to the Movies, it's that you really do not need to be a fan of anything Teen Titans to fully appreciate what this movie did. It's the type of movie that works on its own merits. The film gets by on its voice cast, its great sense of humor, its dark satirical comedy, its overall fun levels. It's not a classic by any means necessary, and certainly doesn't belong in the echelon of stuff like the Lego films that Warner Brothers has done over the last few years, but it's a pleasant surprise, man. A movie based on something I hate actually made something really enjoyable. It's a good movie, man. Like, whether you're a Teen Titans Go hater or not, this is more than worth a watch just for the film itself. And, hey, they even left it open for the next film, the next Teen Titans movie, where the Teen Titans Go beat the original Teen Titans. And, you know, it's funny, I don't like Teen Titans Go, but I'll tell you this, when they do these movies and these special crossovers, that's where the charm of this series really comes into play here. I mean, this movie really was something where it changed my overall feeling on Teen Titans Go as a whole. Yeah, the show isn't that great, but when they do the movies, when they do these special crossovers, like, since then they've done crossovers with, like, the Beetlejuice from the musical, Freakazoid had a cameo in one, they did this big one for the Warner Brothers 100th anniversary. Most of them have been really good. The only one that I've seen that I do not like was when they did the Teen Titans Go Space Jam crossover, and that was just basically Teen Titans Go are visited by the aliens from Space Jam, and they're just sitting there watching the movie like it's like an MST3K type of thing, and it's just shouldn't even be called a movie, and yet for some reason it is. But again, like, considering where the direction of this franchise was going before I saw this movie, I did not think I was ever going to find any enjoyment from Teen Titans Go, but this movie really changed the whole dynamic of it for me. I mean, this is a movie that really was one of the biggest surprises I've had in a long, long time. Like, who would have thought I would have enjoyed a Teen Titans Go movie in 2018 more than an Aardman movie with Early Man in 2018? Like, Early Man, which came out early in the year, was pretty bad, but this, man, what a surprise this was. This is just, it's amazing. It's amazing how much I enjoyed this movie in particular, man. It's definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. Teen Titans Go to the movies. Seek it out. It's definitely worth a watch. And so with that said, we're going to wrap this long episode of Time About the Movies, I'm sure, because I guarantee you, with all the movies we talked about, this is probably going to go over 40 minutes long, and probably the same thing for the next episode, because it's going to be another double weekend. We've got 7 movies to take a look at over the course of 2 weekends, including the first weekend of August, which includes Disney's latest live-action film, probably one of their better ones, Christopher Robin, with Ewan McGregor as an older Christopher Robin, meeting up with the characters from Winnie the Pooh again after all these years. We have Mila Kunis and Kate McKinnon starring in the big R-rated action comedy of the year, which is no Hitman's Bodyguard, that's for certain, The Spy Who Dumped Me. We also have, hey, we can still try to cash in on the Hunger Games vibe here with The Darkest Minds at Fox, and, No, you really can't. And then we'll take a look at the films of August 10th, which has 4 films, including Jason Statham in the movie The Meg. We have another horror film, this time based off the video game Slender Man, and also the story of Slender Man in general. We have Spike Lee's Black Klansman, which is another one of those movies that should have won Best Picture over Green Book, besides Green Book. But we also have Dog Days, and then, is that it? Yeah, that's it. So 7 movies to look at overall. Christopher Robin, The Spy Who Dumped Me, Darkest Minds, The Meg, Slender Man, Black Klansman, Dog Days. So we'll take a look at those 7 films coming up tomorrow on the show. I hope you will join me for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.